What's going on, everybody? Glad you are here. Oh man, all kinds of people talking already. I love it. Eric's got some orders in the Kino sale. Jeff says, "How often does Kino do these sales?" Dave's ordering from the Kino sale. Dustin's getting Kino in. We are going to be talking about Kino tonight. I promise you. Oh, and you got the Children of the Corn trilogy. Nice. I still have not got that one yet. I want to know how that 4K looks. Eric going crazy. 19 discs in the Kino sale. That's awesome. It does have to stop, please. We all could use a little break. Jeff is asking, how often does Kino do these sales? Great question. They usually have, I'm going to say 4 or 5 big ones every year, but this is the biggest sale I remember them ever having. I've never seen them have 850 plus titles in one sale. Kino is killing it with the sale. So we're going to go through the entire sale. Well, it's a lot of pages. Maybe not the entire sale. We'll breeze through it a little bit. Dave just got the Buck Rogers set from Kino. I just recommended somebody else buy that. That's awesome. And Mitchell's here. What's going on? Glad to see everybody. Hope everybody's had a decent week. This is my last full week in my home. Next week, I'm going to be doing this live from my sister's house in Arizona. It's going to be an interesting time. In just a little while, I'm going to be giving away a digital copy of a movie that came out just last week. So stay tuned if you'll want that. Going to be going over a few pickups. This week was semi-heavy for announcements. Nothing crazy, but we started off with Vinegar Syndrome and their 412 partner labels. So we're going to go over all those since that was last Friday, which seems like 2 or 3 weeks ago already. And look at that. Eric also got Buck Rogers as one of his 19. Jeff got 6. That's not too bad. Trying to pace yourself. It's hard when those sales are really, really good. I completely understand that one. So yeah, we'll go over announcements. I'll show a few random things I got in this week. I'll give away a digital copy, and then we're going to go over what's coming next week and the Kino sale. It's going to be a busy show. So anybody else have any questions before we jump right in to the announcements? All right, I'm going to start sharing the announcements page then. There's some decent titles that got announced too. So first, we're going to start with Vinegar Syndrome. Speaking of, Dustin ordered everything Vinegar Syndrome announced last week. It is hard not to. This is a hell of a slate. So speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, let's dive into that. The first that I saw is they are putting out the VSA title of The Grave. This is a really, really interesting sounding title for a VSA for me because most of these, they were basically like the buried video store titles that they wanted to put on the VSA line. And I gotta be honest, I had never heard of this film before this, but it's got some interesting names in it, and it sounds pretty decent. And if you are a subscriber, you got to order this separately. It's not a part of your package because it's a VSA title, but it sounds really good. It's got Craig Sheffer from Knife Breed, Josh Charles from Four Brothers. They are inmates in a North Carolina prison who overhear the story of The Grave, which promises buried treasure to anyone daring enough to embark on its quest. Naturally, the two break out of prison with the intent to dig up the mysterious loot, only to end up in a twisty crime and horror-filled saga involving fellow criminals, old flames, and a character known only as the Priest, played by Keith David himself. That sounds freaking awesome. Really cool that they're doing this crime and horror. That seems right up my alley just with those two. Eric even did the Vinegar Syndrome Flash pre-order. Very nice. I don't think it's that much of a risk. I think you'll be all right and be pretty happy. And the reason I say that is because if you liked everything they announced for November, the other two titles generally should be bigger, more impressive titles than what they announced for October usually. Not to put too much hype on it, but generally that does mean that they're going to be bigger titles than those. And as we're about to get into, October is pretty amazing. So other than The Grave, the next one they announced was, this is a double feature. Vinegar Syndrome proudly presents both Nothing Underneath, as you see here, and Too Beautiful to Die, as you see here. They are both on English language Blu-ray for the first time ever, newly restored 4K from their original 35mm camera, exclusive special features. All I included on here were all of the special features because there are so many, and they are really nice sound. I mean, commentary track by Hysteria Continues, commentary track by Rachel Nisbet, an interview with a screenwriter, interview with a screenwriter, interview with a composer, interview with an actor, and then Too Beautiful to Die, another commentary by Rachel Nisbet, interview with the writer-director, alternate ending, deleted scenes. That is awesome for a double features pack like this. I have not seen either one of these, but from what I hear, Nothing Underneath is incredible, and Too Beautiful to Die was written supposedly as a in-name-only sequel to Nothing Underneath. So it's an interesting double feature, but I am excited to see both of these, but especially Nothing Underneath. I would certainly recommend picking that up if you are interested. But then, the bigger title to me, other than their 4K, is we are getting a Camille Keaton in Italy box set. Before starring in the notorious exploitation classic I Spit on Your Grave, Camille Keaton starred in a series of highly atmospheric early 70s Italian horror films, 3 of which are collected here on Blu-ray again for the first time. This is something that I feel like Vinegar Syndrome is getting back to their roots on some of these. And this is something that is more of an English debut. That's a big deal. And I love that it's something that they are kind of stepping out of their box a little bit. And I remember back in the day, and I'm sure lots of you do as well, that Vinegar Syndrome had only put out U.S. films for the longest time. And speaking of U.S. films there, we have a question here asking from Jeff, are those U.S. films? I don't believe so. I'm going to look at Nothing Underneath and Too Beautiful to Die right now. Sardis is here. What's going on? Mitchell's asking, wonder if this is the last of the Gialli since not a volume 4. I don't think so. I believe there are more coming that were from Spain, and they are waiting for the labs to come back online, basically, from some of the COVID stuff. There's been a lot of delays with the Spanish labs over there. And I don't see that. I don't see that coming back up before the end of the year. I'm guessing we're going to get that next year. So Nothing Underneath and Too Beautiful to Die. There's an Italian dub track, and I believe they are both Italian features. That is a great question, though. Yeah, I'm not seeing it specified on the page. So Camille Keaton, awesome. So first we got Madeline. Madeline has just endured a traumatizing miscarriage. Finding herself increasingly lost in bizarre nightmares, she begins to question her life and happiness, taking refuge in extramarital affairs and unstoppable hedonism. Perfect Vinegar Syndrome fare there. But how long can she hide from reality before the brutal consequences of her actions catch up to her? I mean, that sounds great. Tragic ceremony. A foursome of young friends enjoying themselves in the countryside happen upon a secluded villa. Believing the place to be empty, they decide to investigate, only to stumble upon a grisly, in-progress satanic rite. Barely escaping with their lives, it's not long before evil forces begin to torment them. And again, this is Camille Keaton from I Spit on Your Grave. That is, I can't wait to see these. And then the third and final feature in this box set is Sex of the Witch. The wealthy patriarch of the Hilton family has just died, and his heirs have gathered at the family castle to collect on their inheritances. However, it's not long before a black-clad killer strikes, bumping off several members of the Hilton clan in gruesome fashion. As the police begin their investigation, long-buried secrets are revealed, including curses and connections to black magic. This box set just sounds fantastic. Really right up my alley with all 3 of the descriptions. Yeah. Mitchell says they sound great. Completely agree. I cannot wait to see these. And then, of course, Vinegar Syndrome always has incredible box sets, so you know that they're coming in a great package. And then, one of the 2 real big talked about titles from this last week. This is The Laughing Dead. Risque cover here. Love the slip. And then here is the back. This says, thousands of years ago, the Aztec god of death fed on human sacrifice. Now he's back and he's worked up a big appetite. This is one, when I read this, I would have immediately thought that this would be a Mondo Macabro title. This is something that is from Asia and screams. Everything about this screams Macabro. So let's get into this. A busload of travelers and their guide on the hunt for Aztec ruins decide to stop in all but forgotten to time Mexican village on the eve of the Day of the Dead. The tour leader, a disgraced priest, is enlisted by a local doctor to perform what he believes to be an exorcism, but in actuality, the doctor is using him to begin a diabolical ritual intended to bring about hell on earth. This is a Thai-born filmmaker. I'm not going to even attempt that name. He did The Laughing Dead, which he directed, wrote, produced, scored, and acts in, plays heavily into the colorful, gory, and effortlessly surreal tropes of Asian horror films of the 70s and early 80s. But the setting is in rural Mexico. I mean, there's creative death scenes, including a human basketball. How can you not want to see that? Vinegar Syndrome is delighted to present the world Blu-ray debut of The Laughing Dead, newly restored in 4K from the original negative. I mean, awesome. But then, this is where it gets amazing for me. So I love when labels, especially Vinegar Syndrome and Severin, are great at this. Out of the way to do something that you'll see here. Unholy Assembly, Crafting the Laughing Dead. This is an extended making of documentary with director, producer, actress, actor, cinematographer, associate producer, costume designer, and transportation and PA. The fact that they can go in and make a feature-length documentary on some of these, this one obviously doesn't say feature-length, but for something like, Spookies, got 2 feature-length documentaries for Spookies. That's incredible. Love it. They dive so deep into the histories of these things that it's like film school a lot of the time. Eric says the director is also a science fiction writer. Nice. Saw him in person when he did a presentation at Caltech a few decades back. That is awesome. Very nice. Obviously, it must have affected you. You're still remembering it decades later. That's great. So Laughing Dead coming out. Sounds fantastic. Love it. The big title that got everybody talking this week. We are getting Ticks in 4K UHD. Ticks in 4K UHD. One of the funniest things to me was watching the old Olive Films disc go down in value immediately last Friday when this got announced. There were people that morning, one sold for $104 on eBay. And by the afternoon, the old discs were going for $20 or less. We don't need to be selling 5 times the original price. It's craziness. So coming in October from Vinegar Syndrome is Ticks in 4K. For those of you that have never seen Ticks, which you might recognize some of these faces here, they're a little crude because of the artwork, but that is Clint Howard, obviously. This is the Inner Slip. This is the story of an assortment of unruly and misfit teens that have all been forced to attend camp at a wildlife preserve to commune with nature. What they don't realize is that nearby in the woods, an illicit marijuana growing operation is underway, and the weed farmers have been using a pesticide which has had one very unintended side effect, turning ordinary ticks into giant, ravenous bloodsuckers. This is an incredible creature feature from the early 90s, and some of the people that are in this that, if you don't know, might excite you here. We got Seth Green, Alfonso Ribeiro, Rosalind Allen, and a very memorable appearance from Clint Howard. This is coming to 4K UHD for the first time in a never-before-seen extended version, featuring comprehensive interviews and commentaries with the film's key creators, including Brian Yuzna and Doug Beswick. This sounds like the best possible package that this could have had. What's going on, Jalissa? Ice, by the way. Okay, is that ice? So, Ticks in 4K UHD. What a lot of people glossed over is this is getting a rigid box release. So this is getting something that will be like their VSU titles. We don't have actual details yet, but this is the last one they released. This is Six String Samurai. It's a thick boy and opens up, and just like Ticks, it has a slipcover on the inside. Ticks will also have a slipcover on the inside. Great releases when they do these. Another thing, just in case you glossed over it the first time, this is also getting Under the Skin, the Making of Ticks, an extended 3-part making of documentary with director Tony Randell, actress Rosalind Allen, Doug Beswick, Amy Dolans, Brent Friedman, Leslie Rosenthal, Christopher Stone, and Brian Yuzna. I mean, this is the entire package. This is an incredible release, and I really can't wait to see this. My wife has still never seen this, like most of the movies we talk about, so that's one I'm very excited to show her. She loves a lot of the faces in it, so I don't understand why we never got to it years ago, but here we are, going to watch Ticks together for the first time in 4K UHD. It really doesn't get much better than that. So obviously, Vinegar Syndrome, they really went for the neck in October. But also, we have a ton of incredible releases from partner labels. This is getting very expensive. If you are staying completionist on any of these partner labels, they are releasing so many films that it is so difficult to stay on top of it. Jeff, you are not wrong. He says Clint Howard does have a lovable face, especially on that cover of Ticks. I mean, wrong button. Getting ahead of myself. This is such a great picture of him. I'm so glad that that's going to be on there. Okay, so our first partner label announcement coming from AGFA is Boarding House. This is coming from John Wintergate. Jim is a psychic gigolo who wears a leopard print thong, rents a haunted house to beautiful women with no ties. From there, this unworldly slasher transforms into a sleazy, hallucinogenic maelstrom of gore, sex, chainsaws, pie fights, killer refrigerators, jacuzzis, beds that eat people, a new wave band called 33 1/3, and a leading lady known only as Kalasu. Boarding House is the first shot-on-video horror film to be blown up to 35mm and released theatrically. AGFA and Bleeding Skull are thrilled to bring the 35mm theatrical cut to home video for the first time in this 2-disc set, which also includes Psycho Killer, a previously unreleased alternate home video cut, and Sally and Jess, the previously unreleased family film from the makers of Boarding House themselves. This is one, if you want to pre-watch, this is available in its entirety on YouTube. I'm not generally one to go out and pre-watch some of these, but this is there if you're interested. This is the back of the slip. There are so many things coming on this disc, and if you're not collecting AGFA, I would suggest it for a couple of reasons. One, they kill it with their products. Pretty much every title they put out has a second feature on it, so you get tons for your money right there. But then they load it with extras, and if you don't know what AGFA is, AGFA stands for the American Genre Film Archive. This is a company that is as far as I know, they are a nonprofit organization that simply exists to preserve film. AGFA continues to make their money to be able to restore and store film in an archive by licensing out titles like this through Vinegar Syndrome, and then by also licensing out film reels so that they can show them across the U.S. They have a digital library that any of these small cinemas, they can pay a few $100s to play a title for the night to a packed theater, and they have tons of titles in their library. So if you are ever on the fence about somebody that you'd like to dive into, AGFA is a really great one, because not only is it helping somebody that's one of the small good guys, but it is a company that is genuinely doing things to help preserve the art. And I appreciate all that they've done. Next partner label release in 4K UHD again is from Gunpowder and Sky. We're getting Summer of '84. This is a title that's a few years old. Sardis says he would have loved to have sit in on the pitch meeting for that film. I completely agree. Boarding House is insane. Summer of '84 went over like gangbusters just a couple years ago and took the community by storm. This is a title that a lot of people love. A lot of people are looking forward to. This is another one that is getting very special packaging from one of the partner labels. This is getting a hard box release from Gunpowder and Sky, just like Prospect did, their other 4K title. So this is the cover, and this is the back, and you can see here, there's a little cutout on the side. So that's how it's going to be set up. This one also, oh, it's not in here. Darn it. I must have deleted that before I posted it. This title is also coming with a milk carton with it as a little souvenir piece. Just like Prospect came with trading cards, this is going to have a milk carton. If you've seen the movie, you'll know why. If you haven't seen the movie, I suggest picking this up, and then you'll know why when you watch it. This is a pretty great film. And the big thing for this is it captures what a lot of people wanted the tone of Stranger Things to be, but it kind of elevates it to it's a grown-up Stranger Things, basically. I would certainly suggest this one if you've never seen it. Next is the US release for the Last Matinee. This is the same title that we went over last week because Arrow Video announced it the week prior. So Arrow Video is putting it out on Blu-ray in the UK, and the new partner label, Dark Star Pictures, is putting it out here in the US. So we went over all of the details on this last week. Won't go into it much. This title sounds incredible. Obviously, you only need one or the other. If you're in the US, this is the title that you should probably go with. It'll save you some money. Really great slipcover coming from Vinegar Syndrome partner label, Dark Star Pictures. I can't wait to see that, finally. And then this, another Sardis. Years back, I got Basic Instinct with the ice pick. Nice. I never got that. I really wanted that set. Really wanted it. How about this art? A lot of people didn't quite grasp what that was. That was a nice pun there. I did not mean that, I promise. A lot of people didn't quite see what this was the first time. Yeah, that is what that is. The other side, a little boring, but it makes up for it with this striking imagery on the front. This is Knife Plus Heart, coming from Altered Innocence. This is a title that had been out previously from them that has had a lot of love poured all over it, but now it's getting another release. Everything's the same, brand new slipcover, but that's it. Same disc, same art on the inside, everything else. So if you have the old release, you'll have to really debate with yourself if you really want it for the slipcover. They are not selling it by itself. For those of you that have never seen it, this is one that I would say you probably should pick up. This is referred to as like a modern queer giallo-tinged film. Let's go over a little bit. Paris, summer 1979. Anne produces third-rate gay porn. After her editor and lover Lois leaves her, she tries to win her back by shooting her most ambitious film yet with her trusted flaming sidekick Archibald. But one of her actors is brutally murdered, and Anne gets caught up in a strange investigation that turns her life upside down. This is shot on 35mm and features a retro score from M83. Knife Plus Heart is an ultra-stylish and blood-soaked ode to 70s-era De Palma, Argento, and Friedkin. Again, when we were just talking about labels that fill their disc to the top, Altered Innocence is there. They have been putting so much on their releases, and if you've not been paying attention to them, I highly suggest it. There are an alarming number of partner labels coming out of Vinegar Syndrome, and I understand that. The hard part here is they are all killing it. My big ones recently, Gunpowder and Sky is doing great. Utopia is doing great. Fun City is doing great. Agfa has always been amazing. And then Altered Innocence, I did not have much from, but every single release of theirs is just top-notch. I hesitate to say buy them all, but all of these labels are putting out so many great things. Are these mostly horror? So no, not necessarily. The ones for this month are mostly horror in October, but if we're just talking about Altered Innocence still, Altered Innocence puts out a lot of drama films, but they're very well done, very well made, very well acted. This month, they are all horror, I believe. Well, the ones that we've looked at so far. Yeah, they've all been horror. But the next one, this is where it starts breaking out of the horror notch for the month. So October can't just be perfect across the board in terms of horror. We got to get something wild in there. And like I just said, Utopia, one of my favorites at the moment. So this is a movie coming called Shit and Champagne. That title, though, right? Reading this made me want to see this immediately, though. After her fiance Rod and her half-sister Brandy are both brutally murdered, Champagne, who is a divorcee and exotic dancer from the wrong side of the tracks, uses all the right moves to single-handedly take on the largest sex, drug, and back-to-school clothing ring in the country, Walmart. But when her best friend becomes addicted to booty bumps and is forced to work as a Walmart brand discount prostitute, Champagne has no other choice than to go undercover and infiltrate the corrupt organization. Using an arsenal of disguises, a plethora of kung fu moves, and a cornucopia of one-liners, Champagne dances her way down the fast and furious road to revenge. This is a film from 2020. Yes, 2020. I can't wait to see this. Clips from the live stage show version of the film are included on the disc. This sounds fantastic. The slipcover looks great. Really well done art. It screams like an old matinee here. The release year for... Oh, you meant just for Altered, sorry. So for Altered, no, they do a lot of dramatic movies. And if you're into it, I can grab a couple in just a minute and share a couple more from Altered. Yeah, Shit and Champagne is from 2020. Sardis, if you are asking about Knife Plus Heart, that was 2018 on that one. But this title, I mean, so much that can be said just from that synopsis. Sounds great. Sounds like it's going to be a handful of genres all mixed up. And I really love those. Always love those. But that's not it. They're also releasing Shattered Dead from Saturn's Core. This is one that I don't know a whole lot about. Not a great slipcover on this one, in my opinion, but from what I've heard, this actually fits the tone of the film very well. It's got the gun bullet hole wound here, and on the back it says, God hates you. 100 says, with the title like Shit and Champagne, it's got to be awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this one, when the angel of death impregnates a mortal woman, the dead cease to die, and the world becomes inexplicably populated by morose and disenfranchised zombies whose primary desire is to coexist with the living during their never-ending plight on Earth. Determined to traverse through this dystopian landscape and return home to her boyfriend, the gun-toting Susan runs afoul of a carjacking, undead religious cult led by a mysterious zealot known only as the Preacher Man. With suicide now a pathway to eternal youth, Susan must grapple with her own mortality after discovering that her lover has gone through an ominous transformation of his own in her absence. This is from 1994. Region-free Blu-ray has a brand new restoration from the original Betacam master tapes. That is the part I wanted to share there, that it's a Betacam master tape. Really interesting how we are getting something like this from one of the partner labels. Saturn's Core does seem to be leaning down this road with all of their releases. They did the what is the title of that other one? They did Psycho Sisters, and they also did Mail Order Murder, the story of the Wave Productions. And if you don't know what that is, it is the company that would allow you to send in an idea and pay for it, and they will make a movie with your idea. And a lot of them were no-budget SOV titles, and they seem to love it, and I'm all about that. So I'm interested in seeing this for the first time for sure. Not to mention with the synopsis that, again, all kinds of random things just thrown together. It's got to be interesting. Then another title from Altered Innocence. This is a brand new title. Again, Altered Innocence primarily dealing with queer cinema, either producing new films from queer cinema or highlighting older films that they can get distribution for. This is one called Death of Nintendo. Beautiful slipcover here, really pulpy. Love the color work on this. Obviously, it looks made to look like an old comic. Looks great. The dot work on it is going to be amazing in person, I'm sure. Death of Nintendo. Lots of things can come to mind when you hear that. This is four friends in 1990s Manila go on a journey of self-discovery together as they play games and wrestle with new dilemmas. A series of earthquakes leading up to Mount Pinatubo's historic volcanic eruption has been causing blackouts across the country, preventing the kids from playing their usual escape, video games. After roaming the streets and getting beaten up, the three boys decide on traditional circumcision as the ultimate answer to their problems, while Mima pines for Paolo, who is in love with a popular girl. Rhea Martin's debut feature is a colorful tapestry of adolescent angst and retro yearnings that is a true delight. This is another one from 2020. Is in English and Tagalog, and obviously filmed in the Philippines and the US. This is a really interesting title, and if you're interested in Altered Innocence or anything like that, I haven't seen it, so I can't say it's great yet, but it sounds fantastic, and their output so far is really giving them a reputation of quality across the board by a long shot. So if you have any questions on their older releases, happy to help. Some other things that Vinegar Syndrome put up last Friday, a couple of these might be sold out already, but just in case you're interested, they're putting out a Summer of '84 vinyl with Death Waltz records, then a screen print from Shit and Champagne, and again, the colors on this are going to be incredible in person. They are putting out the WNUF soundtrack on cassette, and a new Sintoberfest t-shirt. Their one from last year is really nice, and this one again looks really good as well. Loving the design work on this. Looks very like steampunky. Can't wait. And then we are also getting the Psychos in Love soundtrack on vinyl. That's not a title that gets talked about a lot, so it's an interesting one to put out, but we are getting a version of it. I think it was Ship to Shore Records that put out the rest of this. If not, I can get the title of that. But they also put out a version of this vinyl record with grape juice in the record. Super interesting way they're selling some of these vinyls recently. Like the Waxwork Records put out the first Friday the 13th with blood, not actual blood, but it was made to look like blood in the vinyl. And those releases were so limited, they go for crazy dollars, and nobody should seek them out to buy them because they're way too expensive. Okay, finally done with Vinegar Syndrome. We got some more stuff that got announced last Friday. So new from Makeflix, they are releasing Sons of Steel, and this is available now to order. This is with a limited to 1,500 slipcover and will never be re-released in any other version, except for they're also doing a limited edition VHS. This is the heavy metal futuristic action-packed adventure set in 21st century Sydney, Australia. Black Alice, rock star and man of peace, is trapped by the fascist government and accidentally transported into the future to witness the results of nuclear devastation. His grim discovery that he is directly responsible leads him to travel back from the future to save mankind from destruction. This is restored from a 2K scan of the surviving 35mm elements in its lost sci-fi time-traveling post-apocalyptic Ozploitation musical that you will never forget. Sounds great. Comes with some features on it. If you don't have anything from Makeflix, just a key here. Some people have been asking when my next boutique labels that I collect, and so should you, videos coming out. One of the ones I'm talking about is titles that come out from MakeFlix through Tempe Digital. So we are going to go over some of those in my next video. Should be out tomorrow or over the weekend, but I'm hoping to finish editing that tonight. MakeFlix is great. They do great work on some of these releases, and I certainly suggest at least dabbling into some ones that sound most enticing to you. They have a not perfect hit rate, I would say that, in the most diplomatic way possible. Some of their releases are pretty bad, basically. Then I just randomly found out about this one that is only available in the month of October. Some people have been wanting this for years. So a lot of people have never heard of this either. So I'm going to kind of dive a little bit deep into this one. This is The Man Who Saves the World. This is available to pre-order now, and I might be heading over to the site just to show you what it looks like. The distant future, two pilots outgunned in a space war crash land on a mysterious desert planet. There they discover an enslaved populace and a blood-sucking ruler obsessed with conquering Earth, the Wizard. To foil his plans, they'll have to take on an army of robots, mummies, skeleton men, furry red monsters, and more. Oh, and they'll also need to find a holy bronze sword, kick boulders until they explode, and survive the Wizard's insidious brain drain machine. So no big deal. Big Bosphorus Media, which I have never heard of in my life before this, they proudly present for the first time in high definition and for only 1 month the legendary psychedelic space opera from the country of Turkey, scanned in 2K from the only surviving 35mm print. It's the holy grail of cult cinema in your hands, on your shelf, and glorifying your TV in a presentation worlds beyond that old VHS rip that you've seen before. But only if you act quickly. It's here until Halloween, and after that, it may never grace physical media again. And on here, they have the original trailer with the English subtitles and a mini poster insert based on the theatrical one-sheet. So I'm going to pull up their site over here and show you this. Has anybody out there seen this or wanted this before or have any idea about it? What's going on, Tom? Good to see you. I am going to share this other screen now. Keep in mind, if you do want this, it is only available in the month of October. And it's $28, and it's a title I've been hearing about for years. It's been called the Turkish Star Wars. This is all of the information here. The site is literally only dedicated to this title. It is The Man Who Saves the .world. You can see some of the visuals here. Looks fantastic. A lot of it looks hilarious. But the big thing here I wanted to show is they have one of these really nice sliders that will show you the difference in the old scan versus what they were able to restore. So you'll see on the left here what it used to look like, and the right is what it does look like now. So this is the old version, and the new version looks insanely better. I love when companies do something like this to show the difference and actually give you like physical evidence of what your money is helping them to do to be able to restore this or to allow them to recoup, because most of the work they've probably already done months and months ago, and it takes a lot to restore these. It is literally frame by frame, and you can see there is tons of debris here. The entire look is faded. Everything is just rough, and it's obviously not perfect. I mean, there's still a lot of elements left on the screen from the actual film itself, especially on the left here, but it is much, much better. Must be from the 70s. I believe so. Yeah, I think it's late 70s. One thing here, if you're expecting perfection when you're watching this, the sole surviving 35mm print of The Man Who Saves the World is sadly incomplete. Portions have been reconstructed using the best available video sources. Due to its age, the picture exhibits the texture, wear, and character of the 40-year-old reels. 40 years old would push it either early 80s or late 70s probably. So yeah, there is a lot of age on those, of course. But it's going to look better than it's ever looked. Yes, Sardis, I will happily post the link there. Actually, I think I can do this and post this here for you all. Hopefully that helps. All right. After The Man Who Saves the World. Take this one with a grain of salt. I think we talked about this last week or the week before. Massacre Video announced that they are putting out the Bad Pack. Now, when Massacre Video announces that they are putting out a title, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that you're actually going to see this title. Massacre Video they've done great work. I love them. I support them. I've got all of their Blu-ray releases. I've got one literally in the mail to me right now from them. But they tend to do things without providing a lot of information to the consumer. So one example of that is they announced, I believe mid-2020 now, that they were putting out Men Behind the Sun, the entire trilogy, or I shouldn't say the entire trilogy because I believe there's a fourth film, as I learned this week on our stream. They are putting out the trilogy, and they also announced that it was going to be in 4K UHD, and that was last summer, and we have not heard anything else about it. We finally got some information on a podcast in the last probably about 6 or 7 weeks from the founder of Massacre Video that there was something going on where they weren't allowed to do their own scan, and they had to work on it. But they didn't say anything to the consumer other than this one podcast more than a year later. So I really hope they finally get that out. I'm willing to bet that this is probably sooner to being released than we expect. But the Bad Pack, anyways, is coming. The big name on the front of this, obviously, is you are getting another movie with Roddy Piper. And all they said about this is the baddest outlaws are coming to Blu-ray with a brand new 4K scan for one last mission. You'll see here their spines are numbered, and they are calling this number 12, it looks like. So I would expect that to be coming out soon. All right, from Kino Lorber, we got an announcement this weekend for Savage Sisters. This is from 1974, and the big thing is hidden in the end here. Sid Haig plays a little part in this movie. This also has music by the same person that did Switchblade Sisters, which this originally, when I saw this title, immediately made me think of Switchblade Sisters. This is one I can't wait to get. I love movies like this. If you have not seen Switchblade Sisters, highly recommend that movie. It's a lot of fun. I have not seen this one, but knowing who is behind it, I'm sure it's going to be great. And it's directed by Eddie Romero, who did Black Mama, White Mama for Arrow. We will talk about movies that we watched this week for our watch-along in just a minute. That's why I skipped that one. Third Window Films, another company that I'm talking about in my next boutique video that's coming out this weekend. They are putting out Nobuhiko Obayashi's Anti-War Trilogy. This is limited edition to 2,000 copies, and I gotta say, the art on this slip is beautiful. They do some really great art. The artists that they get for these things always do fantastic. You can pre-order this now. It is out on December 13th. And with Third Window Films, a lot of people don't realize this, but their main shop, it's basically like a storefront for Third Window Films. It is Terracotta Distribution in the UK. And they are available to ship to the US. They do really good work. Eric's here. What's going on? He is getting the Obayashi box set. It looks great. I've heard nothing but great things on these films. Just an example of the kind of thing you're going to see on here. Endo Reiko is a journalist visiting Nagaoka to comment on the aftermath of the earthquake in Tohoku. From local residents, Endo learns about the city's fireworks tradition and how the region was destroyed during the war. There's a 45-minute interview with the director on there. And that first one is from 2011. The second is 7 weeks from 2014. And then the third one was Hanagatami from 2017. and they all have extensive making ofs and interviews with the director on there. Sounds really, really great. I'm assuming that it's going to be a high quality product. If you've never bought from Third Window Films before, their releases are great. I will have a little more detail in that video that I've recorded that you'll see this weekend. They're doing really good things, and for a couple different reasons, I'm worried that they're not getting the support that they deserve, but also that they're not getting the support that they need to continue. They're a very small company. They don't put out a ton of releases, but you can tell that they pour their heart and soul into every single one of these. And if you think about it and you're interested in helping a company that could really use some support this year, this is one of the smaller ones that could really benefit from it. Kino announced their next 4K UHD, and it is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I got to be honest here. This is where I shame myself. I have yet to see this. Most of the time when I'm watching movies, I'm watching older movies and watching things that are either in the zeitgeist or something like that, and I just missed this one. Tom, you are correct. Arrow also distributes some Third Window discs through its UK site, not the US. That is 100% correct. They are relying more and more heavily on terracotta lately, and I'm not sure if that is an Arrow-specific thing or if they're moving away from them. I don't think they are, but everything is at terracotta. So some of their older discs that you can't get elsewhere are currently on terracotta. The big thing about Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is this cast is incredible. Gary Oldman, Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Hardy, Colin Firth, John Hurt, Mark Strong, Toby Jones. That's the biggest names, based on a novel, The Russia House, directed by Thomas Alfredson, from who did Let the Right One In. I've heard nothing but great things about this film, and I will absolutely be seeing it. I just haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. So can't wait to get this one. In semi-sad news, we are getting a brand new Terminator 2 4K Steelbook release from Lionsgate, exclusively through Best Buy. And this is an interesting developing story. So originally, this was announced as having the same super bad, terrible scan, as you can see that I posted here, from their recent release of Terminator 2, that has a reputation for being extremely DNR'd. For those that don't know what DNR is, it is digital noise. Is it resolution? Digital noise. Oh, sorry, digital noise reduction. And they make it look like the soap opera effect, or sort of fuzzy, and it shouldn't look that way, especially on a 4K release with a 4K disc in ultra high def with HDR and everything. We need better than that. And instead, they clean it up to a point where it just looks not great, loses a lot of the quality. But then today, the website Collider announced that this was being released with a brand new James Cameron overseen scan. So if this is brand new, I would still be a little bit hesitant, because James Cameron does not have a history of doing great with some of these restorations. But I would at least be a lot more interested than if it was just the old scan, because that old scan is consistently called the worst 4K disc out there, which it's literally one of the best movies of all time. We deserve better than that, especially for something that you're preserving in a 4K UHD disc for years. And just like Mitchell said here, too much DNR destroys the detail. And Terminator 2 is all about detail. It is a great film. God, I wish it was better. And yeah, Dustin, the artwork is not great. It is very much just overblown. And yeah, Jeff, I agree. You would think a big mainstream movie would be done better, but unfortunately, we have to go to companies like this. Vinegar Syndrome's release of Six String Samurai literally looks like a better scan than the Terminator 2 release that was released previously. it's sad. You just got to find somebody that is willing to put in the right work on these releases. Then we had another pack of odd announcements. Scream Factory started dropping release announcements at midnight on Sunday night. They don't ever do that. These usually come out mid-morning on Monday. And what I think happened is that these were scheduled to come out, but somebody, when they were scheduling the posts, they set the time different. So they went at 12:15 or whatever a.m. instead of 12:15 p.m. Very interesting how this happened. But let's go through what we're getting from Scream Factory, because it's a very interesting old school month from them. So on December 21st, we are getting, unfortunately, this is a re-release, sort of. We are getting The Vampire Lovers in a collector's edition from Scream Factory. Now, this had come out previously on a non-collector's edition in just a regular, standard, old-school disc. But this is, as you'll see here, we are proud to sink our fangs again into The Vampire Lovers this winter to improve greatly upon our bare bones Blu-ray release from 2013. This is, we'll have a slipcover in its first 3 months as usual. Extras will be announced later. But just to justify the double dip, this will have a brand new upgraded HD transfer of the film. And of course, because it's a collector's edition, this comes with a poster of that new art. Now, a lot of people were hating on this art, but it does fit with a lot of their Hammer releases, and I don't love it still, but I certainly don't hate it as much as some of the other people that were posting online. Jeff, you are absolutely right. Colt always gets more love, and I would not change that for the world. Believe me. Mitchell's got the older Vampire Lovers. What are you thinking? Is it good enough to get a double dip on there? The next title we're getting, I alluded to this last week when we talked about Lady in a Cage coming from Imprint. Scream Factory is getting Lady in a Cage. This is Olivia de Havilland. Warns you, do not see it alone. This is from what I hear, again, this is one I've not seen. This is supposedly a lot more intense movie for 1964 than you would expect. So this is one that I pre-ordered immediately, and I cannot wait to see this one. I love Olivia de Havilland, and I'm sure this is going to be a great film. Speaking of old actresses that are awesome, we are getting Joan Crawford's Trog. This is Oscar winner and screen legend Joan Crawford stars in 1970s campy monster madness Trog, coming December 21st. It is short for a prehistoric part man, part monster cave dweller known as the Troglodyte. Crawford plays an anthropologist. He is the scientific discovery of the age. To others, he is walking death after local resident Sam Murdoch prods the brute into a blind rampage. This was Crawford's final film in her career, after recently starring in several other horror films like Straight Jacket and I Saw What You Did, both of which Scream Factory has already put out. Really interesting edition. This is one that I've heard about for years. Again, extras are getting announced later, but another really interesting addition to their catalog. Then we are getting No Way to Treat a Lady. This is from Rod Steiger, Lee Remick, George Siegel, 1968. Offbeat and suspenseful cat and mouse thriller, No Way to Treat a Lady. If I'm remembering right, I think this one's also coming out from Imprint. Is that correct? Does somebody remember that? I will look it up just in case. It's interesting how Imprint is getting some of these titles that are coming from other companies around the same time, and not others. There are some very popular titles that Imprint has that is not out elsewhere. Uh-oh. Sardis says, terrible film. Was that about Trog, or is that about No Way to Treat a Lady? Probably about Trog, I'm assuming. Let me see here. I'm on the Imprint site. Yes, No Way to Treat a Lady came out in August 2020 from Imprint. So that is another Imprint double dip. Interesting. Then they announced from their Shout Select line, not Scream Factory, Shout Select, Going Berserk. Yeah, I assume Trog. Trog, it doesn't look great, to be honest. And Joan Crawford, it was the end of her career. But this one promises to be amazing. This is Going Berserk, directed by the comedian David Steinberg, who brings a throwaway style to many of the film's gags. SC TV stars John Candy, Joe Flaherty, and Eugene Levy team up on the big screen for the freewheeling comedy Going Berserk. Part-time chauffeur John Candy has decided to settle down with Nancy, the love of his life, and daughter to a powerful congressman. But when news of his impending nuptials leak, John gets entangled in a plot more twisted than the knot he was preparing to tie with Nancy. Kidnapped by a cult and brainwashed to assassinate his future father-in-law, our hero soon finds himself on an odyssey of sheer lunacy. This is much better than Trog, guaranteed. Great cast. Again, can't wait to have this one. Sounds fantastic. Another Kino Lorber announcement, which, again, it seems like Kino Lorber announces a new one every single day. And December 14th is continuing their crazy December. They have like 15 titles coming out just in the first 2 weeks of the month. They're getting The Brass Bottle, which is basically what led to I Dream of Jeannie, based on Barbara Eden's performance. All right. Oh, wow. Sardis ordered Space 1999 from Imprint. Nice. Did you get that from Imprint Direct, or did you get that like Orbit got some copies of that this week? I may pick that up, actually, from Orbit. I've been wanting a Space 1999. Okay, we have a crazy month coming from Warner Archive in November. They have a ton of titles here. We are getting Spencer Tracy and Sylvia Sidney in Fury, The Last of Sheila, which has Raquel Welch, Ian McShane, Richard Benjamin, a few other names. We are getting Lullaby of Broadway with Doris Day, William Powell in The Thin Man Goes Home, National Velvet with Mickey Rooney and Elizabeth Taylor, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Shirley MacLaine in Some Came Running, and we're not even done yet. Party Girl. This is an interesting title with Robert Taylor. And then Barbara Stanwyck in Ladies They Talk About. And then they're also putting out The Bee Gees, an HBO original film, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? Yes, I can easily give you the Orbit address here. Let me make sure I got it right. Yep. There you go. Some Came Running is a great film, says Sardis. That's what I've heard. But this slate is ridiculous. They are putting out so many films. They are coming back with a vengeance after what a lot of people thought Warner Archive was, rumored to be ending this last year. So this is going to be a really good return to form. Lots of titles in October, lots in November. There's rumors of some big titles coming from them in the next 6 or 8 months. So can't wait to see if those come to fruition. We're going to talk about this big time in just a second, but Kino sale is on until October 26th. Speaking of Kino, they announced their big fall 3D title, just like they had one last year in Dynasty. They are putting out Revenge of the Shogun Woman in 3D. This is going to be both 3D polarized and anaglyphic, so that it's the red and blue, or if you have a 3D TV, you can use both. Does come with the anaglyphic 3D glasses. There are 3 3D shorts from 1953, 1953, and 73. And this is rated R. The director of Dynasty, again, comes this eye-popping martial arts extravaganza set near the turn of the 18th century in China. This is one I will absolutely be getting it. Yes, Jalissa says there's a few sales going on. There is a couple. We will, I think, be talking about at least one more in just a second. Let me see what else we got here. Speaking of sales, Ronin Flix is having a sale. It's Frighttober, and they are throwing a Halloween flash sale to get in the mood, to get an extra 35% off the current low sale price when you spend $50 or more on any of the 75 plus titles in the collection. There is a code that you enter on checkout. The sale ends on the 15th. You got 8 more days. Some of them are extremely limited, and I believe a couple have actually already sold out. So if you're interested in it, Ronin Flix, don't forget they carry a lot of Scorpion releasing titles, and they are associated by relation because his brother owns the other company. Scorpion Releasing and Code Red are related somewhat, so they have some Code Red titles. They are also carrying a lot of other Arrow titles, and big name because they're sort of distributing for some of them. It looks like they are buying them wholesale and selling them. But some of those other titles are on sale. Legend from Arrow is on sale for like $24.99, I think. It is a very nice size sale. I normally don't suggest Ronin Flix a lot because their sales are not as good as they used to be. But this is one that if you are even somewhat interested, I would suggest going and taking a look. Mitchell loves the Thin Man series. I agree, and I'm glad this one is coming out. I was worried this one was not going to be coming. And again, speaking of Code Red, just brought them up. They are re-releasing Dead Pit with Kino Lorber. Now, one thing to point out here is this previously came out from the related to Code Red label Dark Force. But something interesting here is this is labeled as having a new audio commentary. I will have to check my old disc, but I am shocked and amazed if this is not going to be the exact same disc as before. Code Red is not known for having wonderful customer service. I made a couple comments about Code Red last week, and I brought up that I had seen a couple comments from the guy from Code Red, and there was one that I could not find the actual picture of that I had saved. But I did mention last time that Bill Olson from Code Red said, "Many actors are dead, people die," when somebody asked why there was no special features on a disc. And I found the other one. If you don't know who Fred Olin Ray is, Fred Olin Ray is a director from a lot of old shot-on-video releases from like the 90s. He is involved with MakeFlix and Retro Media, and he posted, if you are aware of the story, Kino Lorber and Code Red announced that they were putting out Cyclone from 1987. And then the Kino Lorber Insider on the Blu-ray.com forum confirmed that that release has been canceled because MGM no longer has rights for the film. When that was announced, Fred Olin Ray posted on his page on Facebook that he wants to file this under the No Good Deed Goes Unpunished department. So listen to this that happened from Code Red. This is, to me, this is truly appalling. And I can't believe that stuff like this is happening still. He says, "I was asked if I would do a commentary track for this Cyclone Blu-ray release for free. And then I was asked if I could produce the recorded track myself for free and deliver it to them. I said I'd try, and I did the commentary track, but it came out corrupted. So I waited a few days and recorded the entire track all over again from scratch and uploaded it to them specifically. That was just last week, and today he finds out that the release has been canceled. They never told him that it was even possibly going to be getting canceled, even after he went through all the work to do that for free. So I'm not going to say, cancel culture or anything like that for Code Red, but there's a reason that it appears as if they're doing less for themselves and needing Kino Lorber to help them. They have not been on a great run over the last few years. Jeff says, you talked about supporting smaller labels when buying from multiple distributors like Ronin. How much does that help compared to a direct buy? Obviously, a direct buy will get them more actual profit. But buying wholesale, they do expect that. They do have a profit margin put in when they are giving it wholesale to Ronin. Ronin pays them something, and a portion of that is going to be profit for them. I would say it is comparable to buying directly from a farmer at a farmer's market and buying their same produce at a grocery store. So I know not everywhere has this luxury, but here, at least in Missouri, we have a lot of local farmers who sell stuff to some of the local supermarkets, and you can also buy them at farmers markets. So say a pound of strawberries in both places are about the same price, but at that farmer's market, they are pocketing all of it. And at the supermarket, they actually had to allow the supermarket to profit off of it. So they're taking a portion of that, of course. So I'm willing to bet that it's probably around like 30% that would be actually going to the original creator rather than to this retailer, which isn't terrible, and in a lot of situations makes sense. And there's no reason to feel guilty for doing something like that at all. A lot of people still support like Amazon, and I do my best to not buy from Amazon, but even one of the pickups from this week that I'm going to talk about, I bought from Amazon, and that's primarily because it was a Criterion, and it was $20, and they go for 28 all day, every day on every other site. So it depends on what you're feeling, what you need, what your circumstances are. There are situations where it calls for buying from different retailers, and if you want more specific recommendations, let me know. So I think we are coming near the end of these announcements. Just today, Livid Media announced they are putting out Death Park: The End. This is a brand new 2021 title. This stars Robert Mukes from House of a Thousand Corpses. You guys probably know I love that movie, so this interested me immediately. Over 25 bloody kills. The Blu-ray includes plenty of extras. Check it out at lividmedia.org if you are interested. And that is the last of the announcements for this week. Super big week. Completely unexpected. I thought it was going to be another slower week, but it came, and it took it by storm, especially with Scream Factory and Vinegar Syndrome. We knew Vinegar Syndromes were going to be heavy, but not as I didn't expect it, at least as heavy as it ended up being. But we also have next week to look forward to. And these are the titles that are slated to be releasing this next Tuesday. Just going to go over these real quick since we've talked about most of these previously. Inglourious Basterds in 4K. For the record, this is getting not great reviews on the 4K scan, so I'm curious to see how that one actually looks. Misery in 4K. The Columbia Classics Collection Volume 2 in 4K. Arrow's Legend is already shipping from most places, so hopefully if you order that, you'll be getting it soon if you haven't already. Next up is The Green Knight. Now, if you have not seen The Green Knight or you're interested in The Green Knight, highly suggested. I went and saw that one in a theater. I think I was one of two people in the entire theater, which is why I went to see it in a theater. And it blew me away. The visuals are astonishing. Dev Patel puts in a hell of a performance. Rather weird thing to note, if you've been watching my show with Flip, we talked about this a couple times. The most realistic semen I've ever seen in a movie. This movie was amazing. I will say, though, if you haven't seen it, read the poem that The Green Knight is based off before you see it. It is something that will greatly enhance your enjoyment of that film if you read that. Jalissa's asking, are you going to check the MakeFlix Mystery Cell every Friday? Absolutely. I will most likely be posting those on the pages every Friday. I do have most of my Tempe Digital and MakeFlix titles already, so worried I'm probably not going to be able to get anything this time, but that's hard to be jealous of when you got them already. Dave wants the Kolchak set. I can't wait to see that. It is getting incredible reviews. That's a big one for a lot of people. High Sierra from Criterion is next week. Carlito's Way in 4K. Again, Kolchak the Night Stalker. Deadly Friend from Scream Factory still has not shipped if you ordered direct from them. Yes, if that's all you got for my little rant there, yes, Seaman Poem, by all means. Please pay attention to those two things. Next, after Deadly Friend, we got some of the October Warner Archive titles will be shipping from Amazon. Vera Cruz from Kino Lorber. Let's see, Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch from Arrow that did get delayed, but it should be available this week. I know some people have been already receiving them. And 99.9 is from Cult Epics, if you're interested in that release. Casanova Last Love is Cohen Media. That should be a great release. The standard release of He Came from the Swamp, the William Graffet release from Arrow Video, is finally getting a standard release. That went a long time, and I'm honestly shocked it's getting a standard. I just kind of assumed that they had given up on it for some reason. So that is finally coming next Tuesday. Another big week, another huge pile of things to talk about, obviously. Really, really great time of the year, and it's still chock full going the rest of the time. Before I get into the Kino sale, I'm going to talk about a few things and give away that digital copy. So my small little updates this week. I love that we got part 3 of this. Tex Avery Screwball Classics Volume 3 just came in today. Somebody posted a link on Facebook to a second site release that had been long out of print, just being available on Amazon US for some reason. And Amazon's got a pretty reasonable return policy, so I said, I'm going to risk it, see if it comes. If not, if it's something different or it's the wrong thing, I'll just return it. Amazingly, I got Willard and Ben, the second site limited edition release. Again, just showed up today. That's upside down. Here you go. Fantastic. I'm stoked. This had been going for $80, $90 on eBay, and it was in stock for like 30. Can't argue with that. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about a Flickr Alley sale. And again, I'll say sale in quotation marks here. Flickr Alley, their titles are about $35, and their sale was only 30% off. So it made them somewhere around like $26. And then shipping and all that on top of it. So I only got 2 titles. I got The Last Warning, and this one is from 1929 and has been remastered in 4K. And then after we streamed it this week, or attempted to stream it together on the channel, I got The Man Who Laughs on disc. And I was able to watch this entire thing this week, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute as well. One I did miss this week because it's not available for streaming unless it's on the Criterion channel, and I don't have the Criterion channel. But I finally got the title that we were supposed to watch for last Saturday, Diabolique. So I will be catching up and watching this soon in the next couple of days. Only a couple things left. This is one, if you were on the stream on Tuesday, I shared this previously. I love that A24 is putting love into some of their releases. And we got The Last Black Man in San Francisco in 4K. And again, this release, just like Midsummer, is astonishing. It's large. I don't love that, but it is beautiful. There is so much art in here. And now this disc actually has special features. It doesn't just have no menu like the Midsummer one. So it looks great. Let me show some of the art back here. Let's see. There you go. Really well done package. Glad it's coming. I hope they continue with something like this. What did Dave say? Dave ordered Flesh for Frankenstein from Vinegar Syndrome. Also, Halloween from Shout wanted the poster. Agreed. Halloween 2 and 3 from Amazon. That makes sense. Although that Halloween 3 cover is pretty fantastic. Sardis got the Avery release as well and pre-ordered Philibus. Nice. Yeah, I love those Tex Avery sets. I can't wait to watch this third one again. I think this is the last pickup. I've got something semi-related. I got Danny Perry's Cult Movies 3, trying to get all of his stuff. I used to have number 1 and 2 years ago, and I don't know where they are anymore. So I got a cheap copy of Volume 3. If you've never read any of Danny Perry's books, this is like film school in the easiest way to digest. There is not a lot of writing on each title. It's enough to make you excited and give you enough context on the film to want to watch it. And by the third volume, he was going pretty deep cuts, but the first two are ones that you're reading about that we're getting releases for today, so that they're really good. 100 is asking, any word from Vinegar Syndrome on a release date for New York Ninja? No, not yet, though they did hint this week that news would be coming out soon. I'm not thinking that we're going to get that this year, obviously, because we're not getting any Vinegar Syndrome titles in December, and we are already getting a VSP in November with Censor. So I'm assuming that we will probably get New York Ninja by about February at the earliest. It might be even later, but certainly no earlier than February. Then, this is my last thing for sure, in a Facebook raffle, I got the Fractured Visions Deluxe limited edition release of Luz, the Flower of Evil. And this just recently sold out everywhere. And I got this for, I think, $4. And not only did it come with this, but it also came with the vinyl release of the soundtrack. Really cool release. The art on here is great. And I wanted to show. The back also has that same Gothic styling. Just overall looks wonderful. The big thing is I pulled that sleeve out. I love this little goat on the inside. Sardis ordered Cousins, the Story of Film on Blu-ray. Nice. It is a very busy time for orders. I will say that. It's going to be a busy couple of months. So now, I wanted to give away a digital copy of a film. I already had American Psycho on 4K, and I picked up the Steelbook that everybody is loving over the last week. And I am going to hold up, or no, I'll probably read it out there. See if anybody wants this. The website you're going to go to is lionsgate.com/redeem, and this is just going to be a free-for-all. If somebody wants to try for it and beat anybody else, go right ahead. If you want a digital copy of this, lionsgate.com/redeem. How many confirmed sales for October are there? Well, we already had Flickr Alley. We already have started Kino. We've already started Ronin Flicks. The Make Flicks is, there's going to be some Make Flicks sales every single Friday in the month of October. There's a rumored Arrow sale coming, which they have had an Arrow sale every October. Supposedly, there may be an Indicator flash sale in a couple weeks as well. One that we haven't talked about yet, we have an Mondo Macabro sale coming up as well, I believe in about 12 days. Anyways, lionsgate.com/redeem if anybody's going for this. The code, if you're ready, C as in Charlie, the number 4, W as in William, the number 4, X as in X-ray, J as in Johnson, T as in Timothy, V as in Victor, the number 2, A as in Adam, and then the number 0, F as in Frank, Y as in yellow, P as in Paul, 4, 3. If you redeem that, please let me know in chat. That way I can get rid of it. Dave asks, what is your opinion of the American Psycho Steelbook? I think it's phenomenal. I think the art is great. It is much better than they could have done. They could have phoned it in kind of like they did on that Terminator Steelbook, and it looks really good. I'm shocked that it looks that good. They could have also, I think I got the old 4K release, they could have just went with the poster art, and I wouldn't have been upset, but it would have been pretty boring for Steelbook. So I'm glad they went with something that is at least enticing people to buy it and getting people talking. There's even a lot of people taking the plastic sleeve off, which shows Patrick peeling his skin down, and putting that on other Steelbooks to make it look like they are peeling their face off. And it's great. I think it's hilarious. I think it's a great release. Glad we're getting it in a Steelbook, and Lionsgate continues to kill these Steelbooks. 100, got it. Thank you so much for letting me know. Appreciate that. Okay. last two things I want to go over tonight: Kino sale and our October watch along. Anybody have a vote for what you want to go over first? Kino sale or what we watched over the last week and what we're going to be watching over the next week? Jeff says, damn yuppies. I love that movie so much. It is so freaking funny. You are 100. Glad you think so. Dave says the Kino sale. I kind of figured that would be the case. Let me share my screen here. I've got it up and ready. All right. As we go over this, please, by all means, everybody, if you've got an opinion on one of these, just throw it in there. There are so many pages. I think there are 34 pages or something like that in this sale. We are probably not going to be able to spend a ton of time on here because I do want to go over our watch along. By all means, though, if you see something sticking out that you think is a great price, let people know. I'm going to be skimming through here, like I said, pretty quick. So if you want more information on a title that comes up, let me know. I'll try to get in there as quick as I can. On these first couple pages here, the 3D Nudie Cuties collection for $12.99 is a steal. This thing was going for like $25 all day earlier, and that is a great price for that set. Next one that I would say I would look at is this Raro release of Adjua and her friends, or even the Bob Hope title, Alias Jesse James. Sardis got 21 titles. Nice. I got quite a few as well. I'm not sure how many. I don't think it was 21. This bottom here, there are two that I would highly suggest. The first one is Alps. This is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who also did The Favorite. He's the one that did The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer and all of those titles. Oh, and Dogtooth as well. The other one that is the name that a lot of people know, of course, is Mad Love from Andrei Zulawski. Anything from this first page. Great price for the Buck Rogers set. Yes. I do think that a lot of people should be picking that up. I don't see some of these getting much lower than what we're seeing here at all. Next page. Ooh, Eric got Alps. Nice. From here, The Annihilators was a Code Red release earlier, I believe. This is only $7.99. That's a great price for that. It appears that Arabesque is still coming with a slipcover if that's important to you. I believe Kino would fix this picture if it was not coming with one now. The box sets that they have, these are priced very, very competitively. $22.99 for these are great. Baby Blood, this is a Bava title, I believe, or not a Bava title. Why did I say that? I'm thinking of something else. This is a really great price for this, $9.49. Obviously, there are some other titles here like Babylon Berlin. I've heard that this show is very good, and you can get all 3 seasons for like $30. That's not that bad. Everybody by I, the Jury. Larry Cohen wrote it and was supposed to direct it. Interesting. Interesting. I did not know that. Thanks for letting us know. One on here that I just bought that I am shocked that it's this low already. I got Rape Me from France. This is only $10. Bad Manners is great, hilarious movie, only $7.99, great price. Bay of Blood, this one's a Bava title at only $10. This is a classic. If you have never seen Bay of Blood, absolutely suggest it. Sardis got Adjua and his friends, or her friends. Nice. On here, though, it's not as cheap as it will be eventually. This will probably be a $9.99 title in a couple of years, but at $11.99, I highly suggest this. I am a sucker for the film Baxter. I think this movie is great. I don't know why, but I watched this a lot when I was younger. This is a sociopathic bull terrier who is unhappy with his living situation, and it's just a fun film. Barbara Stanwyck collection, $22.99. Box sets, again, very fairly priced. Berlin Alexanderplatz. This is one that is an epic. A lot of people love. Only $12.50. Might be worth your time. Beware the Blob at $9 is Son of Blob. Might be worth it for you. Beyond Therapy with Jeff Goldblum for only $8. Again, shocked at some of these prices. Dave got Bay of Blood on the last sale. Nice. Hope you watched it. It's a really wonderful film. Billy the Kid versus Dracula. Gotta love Vincent Price. And that one is nice at only $9.50. One that a lot of people don't seem to talk about much, but I would highly suggest Black Moon Rising. This is with Tommy Lee Jones. Really interesting, unique movie. And it only, what is it, $10? Yeah, highly suggest that. Of course, Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff. This is the AIP version, another Bava film. And then the Black Sleep. This is a big deal, obviously, newly remastered in HD, classic horror. And then Hitchcock, of course, Blackmail for only $10. That's a great price. I definitely paid more than that previously. Let's see. Fully recommend Cannibal Apocalypse a few pages back. Agreed. I think that's one that a lot of people have talked about. That's why I kind of glossed over it. Really, really great one. The Border with Jack Nicholson is a definite buy if you've not seen it. Only $10. The next one I would suggest, Brick. This is by Ryan Johnson. Love him or hate him, this is a great movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, great in it. Broken Flowers, another really good movie from Jim Jarmusch with Bill Murray, of course, there. Next big one, obviously, other than Buck Rogers, which $40, incredible price for the complete collection. They also have Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, the movie, for only $10, but Buried Alive here for $10. This is directed by Frank Darabont. Really fun little thriller type movie. I'd highly suggest that one. And on this page, still coming with the slip because it's a pretty new release. Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. This is a Code Red title. One of the few that I would suggest. The Buster Keaton shorts is a pretty good price at $23. And then Buster Keaton from Cohen Media. I showed this one off in my label video. If you're interested in that one, only $13. CB4, this is a pretty new release, and to only be $12, that is a great price. Cabin Boy, a lot of people hate this movie. I love this movie. Don't know why it's so funny to me. Growing up, it was great. Chris Elliott, hilarious in it. Cannibal Apocalypse, really good. Candy is also another good one. Again, with the box sets, decent price. Let's see. One that I don't think has gotten a ton of attention on it that I would certainly suggest is Chained for Life. This is one that came out from Anti-World's releasing in the UK, the sister company of Indicator. And this is a really, really interesting examination of life and highly suggest it. It's only $10. Not a lot that you can argue with there. This is Charlie Chan, The Curse of the Dragon Queen. I grew up on Charlie Chan. Don't know why I love it so much still, but highly suggest those. Clay Pigeons is a fairly new release, and at only $11.99. I'm surprised that it's that low again. I adore John Cleese, so if you do not have Clockwise, highly suggest that one. And the new Vincent Price title, Comedy of Terrors, is down to $12.50 already. Let's see. Cosmos. This one is another Zulawski title. Suggest that one. And if you like Clint Eastwood, Coogan's Bluff, only $12.50, and looks like still has the slip if that's important to you. Again, if any of these other ones are sticking out to you, I'm not trying to go too fast here, I promise. Let's see here. Dark Intruder is an interesting title. That's one that if you read it and it sounds good to you, it's got Leslie Nielsen. Very interesting movie. And then Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. This is a brand new release and already down to $12.50. Still coming with a slip. I actually just got that in this the week before this, and still have not gotten to watch my copy yet. Obviously, because we have an October watch along we're doing. Yeah, Conquest is a great popcorn flick, and it's Fulci. So at that point, you should just look at that name and say yes. I love Deep Star 6. If you have not bought this yet, it's at $10, and if the picture is to be believed, it will have the slip. Great film. Lots of fun. I gotta love underwater horror thriller type movies. DEFCON 4 is probably not worth it at $12. What else on here? The Diabolical Dr. Z. Again, I said this in my label video that I did when I was talking about redemption films. This is probably Jess Franco's best made or best film overall. So if you have not seen it, The Diabolical Dr. Z is probably a really good point to step in. Devil's Express is a wild movie. This was, I believe, a Code Red release. Might be worth your time and consideration. I think that's it on this page. I've heard Dead Dicks is fun. I've not seen Dead Dicks yet. On here, certainly suggest Dogtooth from Lanthimos, another one from him. Divorced Dad, I have not seen it in years. If I remember right, it is very good. Probably holds up pretty well. The prices on some of these Rollin titles, really good. I've not seen some of these this low in a long time. This is only $10 for Dracula's Fiance. The Emmanuel titles, $10 a piece. Decent price. When they came out, they were almost $20. So you're getting a very good discount on those. Sardis bought all of the Rollin redemption titles. I think I may have as well. Devil's Wedding is a Joe D'Amato title. Nice. This is Enter the Ninja. That's one that I would certainly consider if you like those cheesy ninja movies. Fascination. This is another Rollin title for only $10. I mean, again, that price is crazy. Fear No Evil and Ritual of Evil double feature at only $10. That is a steal for that. Plus, again, if the slip is important to you, it looks like it's probably still there. Then you get into the film noir sets. Now, we talked about this either last stream or the stream before. They have Kino Lober Insider on the Blu-ray.com forums has announced that they have enough film noir titles that they're planning on putting out at, I think it's 10 or 12 of these box sets. So if you were considering getting all of them, one is already out of print, I believe, but 2, 3, and 4 at only $23 a piece is a great way to start in on that series. Film Worker, incredible documentary surrounding Stanley Kubrick's devoted aide de camp. Very candid and funny. Then we got, of course, Fistful of Dollars, Fistful of Dynamite, only $10 a piece. Really good for a few dollars more, also only 10. Another Code Red re-release that still has the slip, it looks like, for 13. The Forest. I have heard, I have not seen, but I've heard Forks Over Knives is great. Can anybody corroborate that? Let me know. I may actually come back in for a couple more that are sticking out to me now. Another Cohen Media here. We got The Gang and 3 Men to Kill. Some Mae West titles. This is one of the Forbidden Fruit Age of Exploitation titles at only $11. That's a pretty good price. Golden Needles is brand new. This just came out like in September, and at $12 with a slip. Great price. The big one on here though, other than The Good Son, which I love this movie, $10, great price for that on Blue. 4K, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly for less than $15. I mean, if you don't have that release yet, you should absolutely be purchasing that at only $14.99. Incredible release. Force 10 from Navarone is a must. Yes, absolutely. It's another one of those titles that I just assumed everybody knows about, and so I didn't want to say too much about, but The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is enough to highlight at that price. The Great Alligator, this is another Code Red release. This is from Sergio Martino, the master, and I'm sure you've heard enough about him recently with Arrow's collection. The Greek Tycoon, this is another, I believe, Code Red release or Scorpion releasing. Another 4K release. This was Kino's first 4K release. Hannibal, $13. That's it. $13 for a great 4K release. Yes, the movie is not, as amazing as Silence of the Lambs or Manhunter, but it's a film. Half Baked is brand new and only $12. Great price for a classic comedy there. The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox and James Woods. Decent movie, $10. James Woods, even though he's kind of batshit now, he was a pretty good actor back then. One on here that will not get a lot of attention that I think enough people not talking about it should be talking about it. That is Heart Beeps. This is one that is less than $10. I'm going to open this in a new tab and just read this full synopsis because, again, not enough people talk about Heart Beeps. Get ready for a futuristic love story like no other as comedy legend Andy Kaufman and song and dance great Bernadette Peters co-star in this charming offbeat romantic comedy by cult filmmaker Alan Arkush. While standing on a bleak factory repair shelf, Valcom 17485, a robot valet, and hostess robot Aquacom 89045 strike up a conversation. What starts as an instant connection soon transforms into love, and the two decide to override their programmed lives and explore the forbidden world beyond the factory window. With the police on their trail and a baby on the way, they're on the digital road to romance and adventure in this heartwarming comedy that is truly electric. It also has Randy Quaid, Kenneth McMillan, Christopher Guest, Dick Miller, lots of names in this, Mary Warnov. Really good title, and again, does not get enough attention, in my opinion, at least. Sardis got Harold and Lily in a Hollywood Love Story. Nice. That's on here. Only $10. Not bad at all. I'm going to do one more page, and then we're going to talk about our watch along for the month, and then we will come back to the Kino sale after the watch along discussion, just so you can hang around. Arkush does the Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. Nice. So on this one, Hellbender's obviously a classic. If you don't have it, that should be in your cart already. Looking through here, do not buy Holy Man with Eddie Murphy. It's only $5, but don't let it tempt you. Instead, go for the much better film, Hollywoodland, with Adrian Brody and Ben Affleck. This is a great film, just put out recently by them at only $9.50. That's a wonderful price. Another great movie that I would suggest is The House of the Long Shadows. This is from Pete Walker in the UK with Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, John Carrot. This is a great one. Absolutely, everybody should have that. Let's see. If you don't have the original Hunchback of Notre Dame, I'd certainly suggest that. Lon Chaney. We also have The House That Would Not Die. This is an interesting one. Certainly, if you read the synopsis and it even sounds remotely interesting for you, you will probably love it. So let me stop sharing that screen and go to our calendar. I've got it up here. Slow down a little bit. Okay, so this is where it all started last week. We're going to say mild spoilers on the last week watch along. So just going through it. How many people watched Just Before Dawn the last week? I know Eric did. I think one or two others did. If Tom is still here, I think he did, if I'm remembering right. I did a rewatch on this one last Friday. Yes, I agree with John. House of Whipcord is a good one. Did another rewatch on Just Before Dawn last Friday, and I think I liked it more this time. Just appreciated the interesting aspects of it that are unique to this story, and not in a lot of other like backwoods slashers. This is one that I appreciate a lot. I'm glad it's gotten a good couple of releases. Was put out here by Code Red. Was put out in the UK by 88 Films, and it seems to be getting a better reputation as of late. So if you did not watch Just Before Dawn, I highly suggest it. Eric, what did you think of Just Before Dawn? And again, if anybody else watched it, please share your thoughts. And I'm sure you saw, Eric, I went back and read your review of it, and I absolutely agree with a lot of it. You think it might be on The Last Drive-In tomorrow? Are the hints sounding like that might be? I haven't seen any of the hints for that one yet. I'm curious to see what they're going to show this time. Oh, I did see one hint where she alluded to maybe Terror Train. Yeah, the score actually is one of the things that got me this time. I think it worked really well. The locations did look great. Really good little slasher. So that was our Horror in the Woods Friday start to the month. Saturday was our foreign films, and I watched Baskin. Again, I did not get to see Diabolique because I did not have it yet. I will be watching it soon. So Baskin. I talked about this the other day on here, but Baskin was interesting because it felt like two completely different films. There's one very light-hearted first half of the film, and then the exact opposite second half to the film. The second half was beautifully striking imagery and really, unfortunately, muddy plot points kind of paved the way for what was an attempt to show this cathedral in a way that was empowering and artistic, but that seemed to be all they had going for it. A lot of it seemed like they had ideas for gore shots, and that was just what they were running with. It was just ways to get to the gore shots. I think the final shot closing a circle, that if you've seen Baskin, it would I'm sure you know what I talk about when I say close the circle there. It was a very interesting way to end it for me, so I liked that. But just like Eric just said, great images, but nothing to hold on to narratively. I completely agree. Jeff, I have not seen Diabolique before. This is going to be my first time watch. That's one of the reasons why I put it on this list for the month. I am stoked to watch it. Sunday, a lot of us from the channel, we all watched Motel Hell together. Motel Hell was a rewatch for me, first time watch for my wife, and I still like this movie a lot. One of the things I kept harping on while watching it is I don't love the lighting when they're in the house or the motel, whatever. It could be so much better, but really, it's more of it's like a more sadistic comedic horror than you'd think it would be, and it's really well done. The garden, of course, is the creepiest part, but an interesting way to set apart the like Sweeney Toddified version that we've seen of serving people meat with unknown items inside of it. So I know Eric watched Motel Hell, and I believe a couple of you were also there for the watch along on Sunday. Any other thoughts that you'd like to share on Motel Hell? Yeah, he is very creepy and friendly. The way that they cozied up so fast is always an interesting thing for me. Dave this month has watched Terrifier. Yes, I love that movie. Blood for Dracula. Nice. That was a first time watch for me this year, and yeah, it was great. Bone Tomahawk, amazing. I love Bone Tomahawk. Haven't chosen my next watch. Well, I have an entire schedule you can go off of here if you'd like. We're going to be talking about a few more of these. Motel Hell, I think it's never clicked for John, as he says here. I think it's a good one. I think it holds up decently, but I think it holds a lot more strong for an individual if you watched it a lot earlier in life. I will go that far. Next up was another first-time watch for me, and that was Vacancy. I know Eric watched Vacancy. I think a couple others of you did as well. Vacancy was, to me, I think I was overwhelmed with the blandness of Kate Beckinsale. And I think she did decent in this film, but for something that I think the chemistry between them was thrown off by the way they acted together at the very beginning of the film. It was an interesting take on it, and I think that I liked the plot, and it was it's scary as hell. First of all, the way that they set it up, really definitely creepy factor as they walked into it. Won't go too deep into what happens, but I know that Eric liked it a little more than I did, I think, and I'm not upset that I watched it. I just like Eric has said in his review, I expected there to be some random crazy twist to come, and it never did. I'm the only guy to say that about Kate Beckinsale. I'm not saying she doesn't look interesting. I just think that she is not a great actress. I've never fallen in love with any of her performances. I won't be upset to watch her. I'll say that much. But yeah, she's never done it for me, just as a performance. Would I consider the Johnny Depp Sweeney Todd a horror, a revenge, a slasher, or both? Not really. Not really either. It's more of I almost take it as more of like a dark drama than anything. I don't think it's too deep on the horror, and obviously the story itself is a revenge slasher, but I don't think it presents itself as a revenge slasher. The musical aspect obviously takes that over a little bit, but it's interesting. John says she's a little wooden. She's pretty good in Jolt. Got to be honest here, I've never seen Jolt, so maybe that is the key to unlocking my love for Kate Beckinsale. Then we watched The Man Who Laughs, or rather, we attempted to watch The Man Who Laughs together, and I got my stream taken down Monday night for showing something that clearly says on the archive.org page that it's in the public domain. Still miffed a little bit about that, but I did end up watching it myself, and I'm glad that I did. This was a first-time watch for me, and the images on this were absolutely striking. The lead performance as, what is his name, Gwynplaine, is that how you say it? Let me look at the release here. That's probably not the exact word. Gwynplaine. I was close. Wow. Really great lead acting here, and carries the chemistry through the entire film in a way that it takes a lot to do, obviously, in a silent film, and he does it with the most expressive eyes that you could hope for. He does so well with that part, and really, really touched me in some of this movie. And obviously when I went into it, I was expecting something a little different. It ended up being a lot more of a romance than I was ready for, and it was just really well done. Love that in the end, the dog Homo was the hero. It was a great little final couple minutes. Loved the way they ended it. Mitchell pre-ordered the 4K Underworld set. She's good in action films. That's how I know her most. I think that's how most people know her. I also ordered that set. I've not seen the last couple. The first one is a pretty good film, and I'm not sure if my wife has seen any of those. So that's one I will be eager to watch with her for the first time. Was it? Yeah, it was yesterday. I was a day behind, and I watched The Wailing yesterday. My goodness. I don't know how many people on the stream watched The Wailing. This was again another first-time watch for me. I delayed for a couple years to watch this, and I regret that fully. I want to watch this movie again now already. The Wailing was probably my discovery of the week. This movie was devastating and horrifying in certain scenes. It really starts off quickly. It takes some things where it just like shakes you and won't let go immediately. But the acting in The Wailing is top notch. I am shocked that they were able to get some of the performances out of The Wailing that they did. The little girl in some of the what turns out to be possession scenes puts in the performance of a lifetime. Some of these things that look like zombies, but if you haven't seen the movie, it's kind of hard to explain. They're not quite zombies. Really interesting setup. And then obviously, near the end, there is this sort of a twist, but it's basically a choice of who to trust. And I absolutely would have made the wrong decision. The entire film, I was waiting for one person to be justified and shown that he had been wronged the entire time, and he wasn't. He ended up being absolutely just terrible. And there are so many things looking back that I should have seen coming, and it was just so well done. The Wailing was incredible. If you have not seen The Wailing, I certainly hope you do. Eric, did you end up watching The Wailing as well? Let's see here. John watched 1974 Possession of Ulster from Cauldron. Really damn good, crazy ending. That's fantastic. I have not heard a ton about this release. Most people were talking about the Collingswood, so I'm glad that this is great. I really need to watch that. That's on my list for November. Dave likes the Underworld films. Nice. Let's see. Jalissa is recommending The Chaser from the director of The Wailing. I had heard that. We talked about that on our stream on Tuesday, and it's on my need to watch list for sure. And then we have Jeff asking the questions that are going to tear a group apart here. What is the best decade for horror? This is all about what you like in horror. It depends on if you like realism, if you like the cheesiness, if you like creature features, if you really appreciate physical, practical effects rather than having any sort of special effects in your releases. Any day of the week, I could possibly give a different answer for this. Just because of when I was born and when I was raised, I would most likely say the 80s, more likely than not. And for some reason, the 90s are really high up in my book as well. In my last few years of life, I have grown to really love the 70s. And I'm getting to that same feeling with the 60s. There are so many titles that are out there that I have yet to see, or I've seen bits and pieces of years ago, and I just gave an initial assumption on it, and I need to come back and revisit and grow from as an adult that has life experience. I just gleeked there, and can actually understand some of these things that people go through in films. I think I see that evolving for me for sure. So that's an interesting question. Any other opinions on decades for horror? And not to just be stuck in the 70s and 80s on it. I think there are arguments to be made for literally every decade, even the 2010s. I think the last decade that we just left has some masterpieces in it. Something like Hereditary. Let's see. Sardis just wanted to acknowledge this set before I leave to watch another film tonight. Good night, everyone. See you, Sardis. Lightning over Braddock and collected shorts. The films of Tony Bubba looked interesting and a good price to boot on Kino. I will be looking at that. Dave says, I would recommend The Autopsy of Jane Doe for a watch. 100% atmosphere, absolutely frightening. Great film. I just watched that for the first time earlier this year. Really stoked that I watched it. It is available currently from Raven Banner from, I think they're from Canada. And the slipcover on it is just a thing of beauty. Really sets the tone for the film very well. John says 30s, 70s, and 80s are the three best decades. I think that I would agree on at least 2 of those. I think I need to give a lot more appreciation for the 30s. I've got a lot more growing older in those times to pay attention to. And then I have still not watched the movie for today, which is Cannibal Man, that recently came out from Severin. So the last one to talk about for me is this one, The Witches from 1990. That is one that I watched last night with my kids, and oh man, did it take them by storm. I've got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old that I've talked about on here before. My 5-year-old especially was gasping, asking questions throughout the film, and seemed to love it. My 6-year-old was glued to the screen. I'm so glad they both liked this movie. I've always loved The Witches. My wife had never seen it before last night, which amazing how she has not. She grew up in a family that would have loved that. Considering it's a pretty clean movie. There's not a whole lot of negativity. The best part is the Henson aspect of it. And I still loved The Witches. Angelica Houston obviously is the standout here, but really performances from everybody. I mean, Rowan Atkinson, the same year I believe that he started with Mr. Bean, is in The Witches and kills it. He is great in this film as the straight manager of the hotel. Mitchell says one of his favorites is The Witches. Music and the cast, yes, the music is great. Eric saw The Witches back in 92, but probably enjoyed it even more now. Angelica Houston is great, and Jim Henson works his usual magic. Again, I've shared on here before, I've got a Muppets tattoo on my arm. I adore Jim Henson with all that I am. I really can't wait until we get to see the Muppets Haunted Mansion at the end of this month. Really, really love The Witches. And if you've never seen it, great time to revisit it. Has a nice disc from Warner Archive. Looks really good. And there's some scenes in that movie that just really stick with you for a long time. Hey, Jeff, have a good night. 100 says he remembers watching The Witches when he was younger. It's tons of fun. Nice. All right. That is it for what I watched as our watch along for the last week. Eric wishes they went with the original ending from the story. I agree. I think it would have been a lot more effective, but supposedly they filmed it, and it was, of course, play tested, and the audience voted for the happier ending, which that happens all too often. That's all I've watched as far as our watch along for this week. So I got Diabolique to catch up on, Cannibal Man from today, and over the next week, we've got a handful that are first-time watches for me or amazing that I can't wait to see again. So tomorrow, Cabin Fever, it's one that I don't remember all that well, so I'm interested in revisiting it. Tale of Two Sisters, it will be my second watch. I just watched it for the first time literally about 2 or 3 weeks ago, even though I knew it was coming on the schedule. So I'm glad that I have it and will be on there. The next one is The Skin I Live In from Pedro Almodovar. This one is on HBO Max. So Saturday night, I'm thinking we might do a group watch along Saturday night for The Skin I Live In if you have HBO Max. I won't be able to stream it, obviously. Even for public domain movies, I'm getting flagged and shut down quickly. So The Skin I Live In might be one. That's one I've never seen before, and I'm hearing that it's right up my alley. So I cannot wait to see that again. Don't Look Now will be a rewatch for me, but I have I actually have it right here. I have this beautiful Studio Canal 4K full digipack release that even has the CD soundtrack on here. Can't wait to see this. Again, I mean, the 4K release I've not seen yet, so my wife will be watching that for the first time. Cabin Fever is on Peacock with ads. Nice. That is great to know. That might be a good one to watch too, considering that's free. Cold Prey. I decided on this film because I tried to pick a winter film, primarily because my boy John up here wanted to see some winter horror. I picked Cold Prey, and I can't find it now. I think it's on AMC Plus or one of those streaming services that hardly anybody has. It is on about a $23 DVD, and I don't know if I want to purchase that. So I might call it audible and put a different film on for Sunday night. Go with one of the alternates that we have there. Then Monday, we've got the classic Haxan. This is from 1922, the next silent film that's out on Criterion. Then the Tuesday film is The Blood on Satan's Claw. I have the Severin Blu-ray of that, and I believe that one is still on Shudder. Cold Prey 2 is superior to the first. Interesting. I'm curious if that was available anywhere. Did not look that one up. What are the alternates for Sunday? Oh, I didn't get any because the last one was Halloween. Darn it. I dropped the ball there. And then next Wednesday, the next family film that I'm going to show my kids for the first time is the absolute classic Paranorman. If you have not seen Paranorman, it is available on Blue new from Shout Factory. Really good disc, and it's really cheap. It is going brand new for like $15 at I've seen it in Best Buy. So if you're curious on that, I would certainly suggest picking up that release. John loves Blood and Satan's Claw. I agree. It's a classic. Glad we're doing it for the Faux Core set, and I'm also surprised that it's not in the Severin Faux Core box set, but I'm glad it's not. Mitchell also has the Severin Blu-ray. Nice. You can participate then with us. Thursday of next week, when we do our next big stream, is Faces of Death. My wife has never seen that one and asked about it a few weeks ago, so I had to include it this month, and it fits right in on Video Nasties. So it's going to be a good week from our watch-along. Anybody else, if you have anything that you are noticing that isn't available on streaming, let me know before I bring it up, and we will try to find an alternate for it. And I'll try to pick something else for Sunday. So let's go back to Kino. All right. I am curious about I Am Heath Ledger. I believe this is a documentary. Yeah. It's a feature-length documentary celebrating the life of the actor. I had heard good things about this. I've not seen it, so I can't necessarily recommend it, but at $10, that's a really good blind buy price. Moving on from here, The Inspector might be a good price, $10. Gotta love animation. Inside Moves, Richard Donner. This is a really fun movie. I believe this was a Scorpion releasing title. Next one on here that I would say is The Ipcress File. If you've not seen it, this is a Michael Caine classic from Harry Palmer. The Iron Rose is another Rollin title for only $10. And then the one on here that I would pick as what a lot of people might be paying attention to recently. See you later. Have a good night, Eric. Glad you came out and hung out with us. John just watched Bloody Moon. Nice. I have not seen that since, I think the year it came out on Severin, and my wife did not watch it then, so I'm stoked to show it to her. I Walk Alone is a nice pair. Nice. Let's see. Did I miss that? Is I Walk Alone? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I Walk Alone right here, and it's only $9.50. That is a really good price. JC, this is the one that I was going to point out. With the religious fanatic for a father, the last thing JC wanted was to follow in his footsteps. To escape his background, his rebels join in a biker gang, leading an LSD-fueled romp. This is one that did not get a lot of attention, but it should. Just came out fairly recently. $10. Again, kind of can't go wrong at that price. One that a lot of people hate, but I think is pretty decent. Jacob, horror film, only $8. Again, just before dawn, we just talked about it, only $12.50. Another one on here I would suggest is Jungle Holocaust. This is a Diodato title This is an interesting one, and if you like those jungle cannibal Holocaust-y type movies, you'll probably enjoy that one. Let's see. Ken Jacobs collection at 15. Very creative and influential director. This one is another redemption title at 10. I don't know this one. Killer Cop from Raro at 10. This is an Ercole title. This is one of their better releases. Kill Baby Kill from Bava, of course, a classic. If you don't have it, you absolutely should. $10. Really great price for a Bava release, especially from Kino. They do really good with their Bava titles. If you don't have Martin Scorsese's Kundun, or I don't remember how to say it right now because I'm exhausted. Is it Kundun? I don't remember. Either way, 13 is about the lowest it ever goes. Another one of the new price titles, The Last Man on Earth, seems to be out of the slip, but it's $12.50. Another one of the Forbidden Fruit titles for $10 here. Great price. Sherman's Larceny, and then The Landlord from Hal Ashby. Both of these are really good. Lifeboat from Hitchcock is on here for only $10. This is the best release of this film, I believe, right now. So $10 is a steal for a good Hitchcock. Yes, Let's Kill Uncle is a good William Castle flick. Nice. Sidney Poitier in Lilies of the Field at 12 is a good price for sure. Kirk Douglas, if you like him in Lonely Are the Brave, $11, not bad at all. Another Rollin title at 10, The Living Dead Girl. This is one of the better releases from Rollin. I would certainly suggest it. Controversial release primarily because of his feelings on it, but the David Lynch film Lost Highway, $10, and I believe this is the only Blu-ray release. It's worth it. Then we have Lucky Luciano. This is one that if you've not seen, I would suggest it, and it's a little high because it's pretty new, but $12, not too bad. What is sticking out here? This is not Rollin. Not a whole lot page for me, at least. I hope Lost Highway it's a 4K. We'll see. Doubtful. Well, we got to see what Criterion does with 4K first. Moving on, Lee Van Cleef in The Master. This is the complete TV series. 18. I don't think it has gone cheaper than that, so that's a very good price. Another Vincent Price title. Speaking of price, $12.50. And then Masquerade. This is one that is fairly new release, but flying under the radar a little bit. And let's see, Meet Him or Die, another Raro title that is very cheap and very worth it. The Complete Metropolis. This seems expensive, but this is, I believe, a 3-disc set, and this is comparable to the Eureka release of this, and probably the best we're going to get, unless miraculously we get a 4K of that one. Lynch's feelings on Lost Highway. I believe he is either, I think he was upset that they put in chapter markers on the release, and something else in the process when they were restoring it sort of pissed him off, and he now disowns the Kino release of it. Just David Lynch things, basically. Mo Better Blues. This is a Spike Lee joint, and for $9.50, you can't really argue with that. Miss Zombie. This is one from Japan, from Redemption. I would certainly suggest that if you do not have it. Redemption put out a lot of really good titles, actually. Molly, I've heard good things, but I've never seen it. Another one of the Forbidden Fruit titles, and this one is $10 as well. Do Not Buy Mr. Wrong. It's not worth $5. What else is there? Needful Things. Classic, absolute classic with Ed Harris and Max von Sydow. Let's see. Mitchell, I'm glad you agree. Metropolis is definitely worth it. I actually talked to a friend of mine into getting that one earlier today. Moving on, we have Valerie Harper in Night Terror. That might be a good price. Well, it's $12. It's still a pretty new title, but probably worth it. Nightmare Beach. This one is an Umberto Lenzi classic. And speaking of Lenzi, when you're picking this one up, you should also pick up Nightmare City. Let's see. Jess Franco's here in Nightmares Come at Night. This one's only $10 redemption release, and it's Franco, so you kind of have to do it. Speaking of classic silent films, the Nosferatu restored version is here for only $14. Great price for a really great release of that disc. On here, Henry Fonda, the Oxbow Incident. This was a new 4K restoration when it came out. $10, really good price for that one. Panic is a fun title. This is with what is his name? David, is it Warbeck? Yeah, this is with David Warbeck. This is a Code Red release. Another Hitchcock here for only $10. The Parodying Case. Phantom of the Opera is a great price at $10. And if you're going to get that, you should probably get the Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. This one's only $8. And then you get into all of the Pink Panther releases. These are really fun if you like classic animation. Let's see. 100 is asking, which is better, Nightmare Beach or Nightmare City? I personally think, oh man, well, I think Nightmare City might be the better film. I think Nightmare Beach might be the better release. Either way, they're both pretty good and would be a decent buy. Like I was saying, if you like classic animation, the Pink Panther releases are great, but I would also suggest, do I have it close? Yes. If you can find it, I believe they are either not selling this set anymore or was sold out recently. They have the complete Pink Panther 6-disc collection from Kino. This is a great release, and it does have all of those 6 releases. Play Motel is one I would actually suggest not getting from Raro. That was an underwhelming one for me. If you like the old 80s sex comedies, we got Porky's 2 and Porky's Revenge. Director Bob Clark on one of those. That's only $10. And Pretty Smart. This is a pretty new Scorpion releasing title. Only $10. I've not seen this one yet, but I've heard great things. And Patricia Arquette is in it, and she is always a great actress. Down here, Donald Sutherland and the Puppet Masters is one I would certainly look at if you don't have it, because $8 is frankly a great price for that. The Psychic from Lucio Fulci is one that if you don't have it, absolutely be buying this release. Great movie, great release. The last one on here is Henry Thomas in The Quest, also known as Frog Dreaming. This is a pretty fun movie, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, who did some old Ozploitation classics. Mitchell bought Perfume of a Lady in Black from Raro, and it's got major picture issues. Lots of their releases do, and I hope that makes sense when I said Nightmare City is probably the better movie, but Nightmare Beach is absolutely the better release. And unfortunately, Raro kind of drops the ball. And again, I don't know if I'm saying that title right. Raro. Never heard anyone say it out loud. Don't know why I default to Raro, but I guess I do. Moving on, The Raven is another one of the new Vincent Price titles, directed by Roger Corman, $12.50. Another Rollin title at only 10, The Rape of the Vampire. And I'll point it out because I am one of the people that is sort of down on this movie, but a lot of people love it. The Rawhead Rex Steelbook at $8.50 is a great price. That's only been out for like a year and a half, and it was going for like $30+ when it first came out. I have a feeling they over-ordered on these and need to get rid of some of their titles. To have that at $8.50 is pretty shocking already. But I don't love the film. A lot of people love it. Like I said, if it sounds like it might be up your alley, maybe watch a trailer, see if it's something you'd like. Let's see. There is a question. Did you see The Projectionist? It was pretty good. I've not gotten a chance to yet. Everybody has been raving. I've talked to, literally saying it's great. So I would love to see it. And if you're saying that, I'm sure it's pretty great. Then I love Gene Wilder. Rhinoceros is one that I would suggest, especially at only $8. Nothing sticking out for me yet on this one. Schizo is a Pete Walker one from Redemption. It's like it says here, it's the Pete Walker's answer to Psycho. It's an interesting film. I haven't seen it in a very long time, so I'm light on the details, but I would certainly suggest. I mean, at $10, it's hard not to. And for those that don't know, Kino is free shipping after $50, and so you get 5 or 6 titles and you get free shipping. It is absolutely worth it, and that's a pretty big order. I mean, you can get 6 titles for like $50 and free shipping. Completely worth it. Moving on to the next page. Michael J. Fox, Secret of My Success. This is a great film. $10, really funny. Very Michael J. Fox in his heyday. If you liked him then, you'll probably like it again. Jeff, I believe this is Jeff Fahey, right? Yeah. Jeff Fahey in Serpent's Lair. This is one I saw a long time ago. $10. I did not buy this, but I might be taking a second look at that one. Another one of the Forbidden Fruits. This is number 6 at $10. This is not one of the better of the Forbidden Fruits, though. If you're interested in them, I would look at some of the other ones first. Slayground. This is one I would suggest. When a young girl is accidentally killed by thieves during a getaway, her grieving father hires a sadistic assassin to avenge her death. I mean, just classic revenge story. Sleepless is Argento, and that was a Scorpion releasing title, $10. It's not one of his top tier titles, but if you're loving Argento and you just want to dive further into his stuff, $10 is a really good entry price. Slithis is silly, and it's silly kind of on purpose. So if you like that sort of creature feature silliness and cheesy, certainly go all about it. So Sweet, So Dead is sort of a classic, and if you have not seen it, certainly suggest that one at $10. Sorry if I'm going through these too fast. Again, just sharing what strikes my fancy. The 4K of Spaceballs looks fantastic, and at $15, it is a really good price to get in on that one. Stunt Squad from Raro. This is one I would suggest. This is a pretty fun little film. Again, not a great transfer, but a fun movie. Stretch with Patrick Wilson. I bought this in the last sale, and I've not watched it yet, but I've heard great things, and I don't know why, but I love Patrick Wilson. And that's it for that page for me. I completely agree here. That's the hardest part, is Kino offers a really diverse selection. There's not a single genre that's super represented. There is not a certain country that's super represented. They are all over the map in every which way, and I love them for that. Swing Vote. Not a great film. Unless you really love Kevin Costner, I would not buy that one if I were you. The Taking of Pelham 123. Obviously, this is a classic, and Walter Matthau's in it. Just with Walter Matthau, that should be enough for Heavy to watch it. He was always amazing. Terror Train. If you don't have the Scream Factory release, this is a classic horror. It's another. I'm going to actually be making a video soon on holiday horrors that I'm going to be talking about movies that are really good to watch on certain days of the year. And Terror Train is one for New Year's. Not a lot of New Year's movies out there. Obviously, we got New Year's Evil, but Terror Train is a really good one for New Year's. They Call Me Bruce. This is with Carradine, I believe. And yeah, that's a good one. Another Price film. We have Theater of Blood, one of the better Price films, in my opinion. Test Tube Babies. This is one of the forbidden fruits. And this is one that was interesting from what I saw. I would recommend that over that last one. Last one on here that I will throw out there. Most people have seen this now, but Thirst from Chan-wook Park. South Korean vampire. Absolutely, you need to watch this film if you have not seen it. And it's $10 again. The prices in the sale are ridiculously great. Let's see. Tomb of Ligeia, another Vincent Price title. Another one also directed by Roger Corman. Tomorrow's Children, Child Bride, Forbidden Fruit. This is number 5 in the series. And this is, I think, the last of like the really great ones that they were putting out. The first 4 or 5 are really good. The Tony Curtis collection is even less than $20 if you're into that. Great price for a box set. Tower of Evil is okay. I think this one will go under 12 eventually. If you really want the best price for that one, you can probably hold out. I see that being a $9.99 title next year. Mitchell says, Thoroughly Modern Millie is a really good light musical. I don't think I've seen that one. This one is another redemption title at 10, but I've not seen this one. However, I believe I ordered this one. I'll have to check my list, because if not, I missed it. I should have. This is a parody of the old new wave crime eroticism movie. Interesting take on that. Transylvania 65000, in my opinion, a classic, and I adore Jeff Goldblum, so I had to have this one. I feel like I've been watching a lot of Jeff Goldblum this year. Don't know why. Just watched Jurassic Park with my kids. That went over like gangbusters. Under Capricorn, this is another Hitchcock, and at only $10. I mean, you pretty much have to own it, right? Valdez Horses with Bronson, if you're into it, $12. Should have the slip still with that picture going. We're finally getting to the end of this. Viva, this is a brand new release, and at only $12.50, that is a great price. Wanted Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer. This is an absolute classic, directed by Gary Sherman. If you don't have it, you need this one. Then I think White Zombie with Lugosi is, of course, an important one. And we are coming to the end here now. There's not really anything that strikes me from this last page, unless you want the DVD of Wild at Heart. Only $10. Well, Kino is having a sale, to say the least. Tons of titles there. I've got a list of stuff that I am still looking at, and I probably need to look through there again. I would see myself maybe going back for another $50 buy before the end of the month. Other than that, we've had a hell of a long stream. We're at almost 2.5 hours. Any other final questions before we call it a night? Hope to see all of you during this watch along for the rest of the month. Kino is killing it. And one thing that is overwhelming is that they put out so many titles. I mean, literally some weeks they are putting out 5 and 6 titles a week. December 7th and December 14th are stacked release days for Kino. And that's great because December is usually a light month. So I'm glad that they're stepping up and filling it. But I mean, we could use a break sometimes too. It has been a hell of a week, though. But if that's it, and nobody has any other questions or comments, do I think Blood for Dracula will come out in a standard version? Honestly, I do not, actually. I know that they are selling at retail now, but it is still what appears to be, at least, the Digipack release. They just made it a wide release rather than just with Severin. I honestly don't see it coming out in a standard release. And I'm curious now. We'll obviously never know the details, but I'm curious if one of the requirements to license Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula was that they had to be in these beautiful 4K releases only. If that's the case, we won't see a standard release, and this will probably be it unless they license them out to another company eventually. So that could be interesting. Skolder is highlighting Hard Target in December. I believe that's December 7th, and that is my most anticipated Kino release from that month so far, which is saying a lot because they have a lot of stuff coming out in December. I'm curious to see if it does come out in a standard, but I honestly do not think so. All right, all. At almost 2.5 hours, I'm going to call it a night. Today is technically the first day of my vacation. I'm taking the longest time away from work than I've taken as a working person. I'm off for the next 17 days from work. So I do plan on watching a lot of movies. I do plan on filming a lot of stuff. Like I said, I've got one coming out tomorrow or the next day for you all as soon as I get it fully edited. It is my next boutique release video, and it is including the likes of Tempe Digital, Synapse, Second Sight, Studio Canal, Slasher Video, Shout Factory, which obviously there's a lot under Shout Factory, highlighting the only release I have from Shameless, and including some other more extreme films from some random small companies that some people probably have never heard of. So it's going to be an interesting one. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I appreciate you all building the community like we had, and hope to see you again next week. If you noticed, I'm going to be doing a stream live on this channel every Tuesday with Flip, like I had been doing on his channel. We are streaming on both channels, so it's going to be an interesting move. We are talking about starting our own show together, so it's moving towards that path, and it's going to be a good time. Thanks for that, Mitchell. I need a vacation. So again, as I always say, from one collector of random boutique everything to all of you, have a good night. Talk soon.